Hello everybody, and welcome back to Dungeon Masters for Hire. My name is Professor PUI, and it's been a long time coming. Oh yeah, it's here. Early access just arrived, at least for us beta testers. We got the beta version of the early access, so we are going to look at that beautiful thing right now. So we have to Alright, as you can see, the game now, the version is called Chimera instead of Dragons. So, this is still beta, quote unquote. But it is, it is something. It has all the features they promised and they've been showing on Discord. Like, changes to the build mode, changes to the props where they're now freeform, and all of that glorious stuff. But before we get to all of that, we should look at the changes they implemented, at least for the beta players. We can see the change log and everything, where they gave us all of that beautiful information there. They gave us an additional miniature. There will be other features coming soon in the coming weeks, more than likely once early access comes in the next 2 weeks. So April 14th. By April 14th, everybody should have access to the early access, and you can join the fun of TaleSpire. Just $24.99. You should spare some. So it gives you all that description. I'm not going to read all over it, but additional to that, the boards from the beta version worked very differently to the Chimera, to the early access. So we have to upgrade certain boards. So when you've already made a board and upgraded it, it does it for you. But if you have a board, let's say this one, Fall Off Soul Off, which was a one-shot I did before, it'll give you this information down here. Before anyone can continue playing in this campaign, it needs to be upgraded to the new Chimera board format. This can only be done by the owner, you. Please don't exit out of the game while it is in processing, because it'll break the board. So once we do that, we can press update, and it'll start to process all the information, converting everything to the new format, which everything now is segmented through subboards in order to speed up the process of board creation and make stuff more faster. So if I were to go to this board, the Fall of Soul Off board, because, it's an old board, it's going to start loading everything up. This is like one of the taverns I made with multiple NPCs. So the game runs similarly, like everything is similar. I don't know why she's loading. But one thing that you may notice is that the assets where you left them stay where you left them. That is because some of the prop assets that are now are still referenced, at least in their previous version. They're still referenced as a board piece, not a prop. So if I were to go into build mode and try to select this prop piece, it'll still react like the previous piece because it is considered a previous piece. It is not a prop. And that's one of the major things you will notice, beta testers, beta players, that your pieces, your prop pieces, will still react the old way. If you were to place a new one, it'll react completely differently. That is this board in particular, and I'm pretty sure the other boards as well are the same. We also have this, which is the publish to copy board of things. I do not know how to use that yet. I have not played with it. That's news to me. So as long as they give us a lot more information on that, we'll come into that. The board settings are still the same. We still have the distance, tile unit, tile sizes, the stat names, the colors from the beta, the players on the board, and now we have a tutorial tab. The tutorial tab gives you an overview of things you could do. It's practically a helper more than anything. It doesn't really overshot the board or whatever. So if we were to select the first one, it'll just pop up a board with an animated video, giving you descriptions on to how to do them. These are not final, so by early access, these might change. So you can select them and view them all as you'd like. A lot of changes were done to this game, and this is one of the newest additions to this. Atmospheres are the same as well. We have exposure, we have the music effects and everything. Back in this new board, this is my training board of all things. So here you can see the figures are the same and everything. So let's go over some of the changes. One of the changes you can notice right away is most of the things are either smaller or they changed buttons. The rulers previously were on the R button. Now they're defaulted to the M. They still get triggered by the ones and everything. They still have the same functionality as before. It's just the button change. And you can reset that to the R because they've added key bindings or key maps. Now you can bind certain buttons to do certain things for your own like instance of the game. And we have a lot of them. Like light now is L instead of F, which was flashlight. So you could change that back if you wish. We have the up and down, which you could do with this, or the page down and up. So we have the tabs and everything. My screen is in the way, but we have the water, which now you can hide things under, you know. Now we have the water razor, which was added into the beta. But now early access has it. There's still some features that they have promised, like certain volumes for water and stuff like that, but that's to be announced. They haven't really shown. The fog of war is still very experimental. Is one of those features people want because hiding tiles is annoying. The hide volumes work, and there are ways to like mitigate doing volumes. Now I'm going to show you the differences on the old prop and the new prop. So, in order to look at that, we need to enter build mode. To enter build mode, it is still the B. We can press B and it turns into a build mode. Now the figures have like scan lines on them to like identify them, and they block your pieces, but they also help you like locate them. If you're like have a dark board or whatever, they're like a second graph to the whole thing. So in build mode, we have to press space. Instead of having them here like we previously had them, now we only have here the unique creatures, which are usually player pieces or particular characters, and now we have the chat messages, which was previously the history of the roles. Now it's changed. Additional to that, in build mode, it's the pieces have been moved. Instead of being the sidebar, it's been moved to the lower bar. So now we have a library of assets that we can select from. Now we can actually see the pieces more clearly. We can drag this up and down to cover the whole thing, which is great. They're also separated by pieces. As you can see, there's a little bar down here that you can see that separates the objects, and you can select them and it'll light them up. Yeah, you can select the buttons. They light up when you select them. You also have, additional to that, if you are working on certain things, like certain assets that you will be repeating a lot, you don't want to search for them, you can favorite them, like hitting them on the little star. And you can go, where was it? This is the creatures, camping. You can go to the favorites down here. You can go to the favorites, which are down here, and it'll favorite the particular pieces that you have favorited. And I believe this was the previously used button, which I haven't really used anything. So if, yeah, I'll select that. How do I go back? Okay, I select over here. Good to know. So in order to get out of that, you need to select the features that you want. So right now we're in a forest, so let's go into nature, which everything now is like together here. We got the nature tiles. One thing you would notice is that there are no props on these tiles, because trees have been moved to props. Instead of being nature tiles, now there are prop tiles in their own category. So I'm gonna select this road, and you can see that the piece is there, and I still have the bar here. So if I want to hide it, I press space, and I have the piece on me. It's the same thing, like left click, drag, it'll put the piece down. Additional to that, it'll leave a grid. So if I want to go down, like put this in the air, I can hold control and move up, and it'll start to create like a vertical line where I can place a piece, and it'll stay on that plane, which is great because building before was, I wouldn't say annoying, but it was tedious. Now it just simplifies that. Additional to that, instead of pressing the middle mouse button to rotate, which we still do, we can hold Alt, and now we have a little arrow telling us where we are rotating to. And the tile pieces are 4 directions, the 4 cardinal directions. Props are more than that. They are rotated by a degree of 15, so they have up to 16, I believe, rotations, making boards a lot more dynamic and a lot better. And also, one thing you may have noticed, we can actually put the tiles on top of each other without having to turn on something, like the clipping. Clipping is part of the innate system. Another thing you may have noticed is when I hover over an object that I can select, there's a hand now, indicating that you can interact with it. If I were to select it, it'll just pick it up and I can place it again. If I were to drag and drop, like drag the object and drop it, it'll move it automatically, and it'll let go of it and not create a new one. So if I like misplace this, I can drag it, drop it again, drag and drop, and do a little alter here. To select, I believe you can select this and right click, like we previously did. So that's how you place tiles. Additional to that, we have the nature, we have the monograph, we have a lot of, most of the tiles they have given us are still here. They're still categorized by their same structure. Dungeon, I believe one of the additional things they gave us was like a fence. Prison cells more than anything, which is great, we needed that. Though this one doesn't really open, it's not really a door. It's a visual thing, it doesn't open unless they change it, but right now it doesn't open. They also move the creatures down to the library, and they are separated by creature type. So beasts are under beasts, so you can see the raptor, you can see the bat, the snakes, crocodile, the horse. Then we have the constructs, which are down here, demonic, dragon folk, dwarf, elementals, elf, fae, like giants, gnomes, goblins, half-demon, half-orc, halfling, human, humanoid, which are humanoid creatures, but they don't really fall in a category because they don't have enough pieces of them to have their own. Monstrous, which are all the monster creatures, like the lizard folk, the sea creature, slime, the Chimera, which is the new piece that we can't see because of build mode. The new piece, which is this little beauty here, and turn on build mode, and the orcs and the undead, which are down here as well, which makes picking up a creature a lot quicker because you could go to the category that you're needed. And then we have below the creatures, we have the props. The props are the same ones we had, but now we have a free reign to place them. Instead of a grid, now we have free placement. So I'm going to select, let's say, this pumpkin, this big one, this pumpkin, and as you may have noticed, there is no grid stopping me from placing this anywhere, because I can place this anywhere I want, indiscriminately, and the pieces, like the characters can walk on it because they have their own collisions and everything. So everything, works smoothly. To delete them, just hold down shift and right click. That's a lot quicker. Furniture, same thing. Like, you can place them down. And the grid, I'm gonna show you the difference between a prop and the ground tile. If I were to hold it and hold Alt, you can see that they can be placed rotationally anywhere. They don't have to be on the 4 axes. Now they can be to the side, which makes making maps a lot more interesting because they don't occupy a space. Now you don't have to pay attention to what grid or if they're colliding or anything. You just have to place them how you want and fill the world however you need. And the drag and drop for props works beautifully. There are certain props that I noticed don't really seem to follow the path that they're placed. Like this one in particular, I believe the axes and grid is off, so they mean to fix that. But aside from that, everything works as it should. They also gave us additional props because they took them off the walls. Like these chains, they're from the dungeon tile, and so now we can actually place them anywhere we need. If we're making a prison and we don't have a wall that does that, we can just add this to the wall because anything can be placed easily, like holding control and placing it. It's floating there right now, but if there was a wall, it's floating. So we have a lot more control than we previously had, and I deleted that. Oops. Anyway, so we have a lot more control in this situation. We have a little more assets that they didn't really tell us they were adding. One of them, which kind of caught me off guard. Where is it? We have more treasure. Interesting. Here are the nature tiles. We have a lot of them. Here it is. They added fishies. We have fish, people. We have fish. Now we can actually place fishes in the pond. Look at that. Look at this little guy. We can make a school of fish in a pond. This to signify that there's a pond there if you don't have the water, or you just raise it. It's the water, they're like underwater, you can see them. You can leave them there because they're props. They're free moving and everything, and I love that. That little attention to details always matter to me. So that's about most of the things, most of the visual changes that they added to the build mode. And then they added like a lot of furniture, fences, everything's divided by their things. Containers are containers, crafting are like different crafting things you can find, fences, food, furniture, grim, which is where death and torture is done, ladders, the lights, which are here. One of the things you will notice is that the fire is very different. I placed that down there. The fire may look kind of different, especially when placing them down. This is the new fire, this is the old fire, and the old fire still reacts, you know, like the old one. But this one I can freely position anywhere, because I can. There's really no difference in the prop, it's just that this one has the features to be placed freely, while the old one still has the constraint. So you would have to replace the old props in order to like use the new system, or just leave them if you had already placed them like that. If you want to redo your maps, that is completely up to you guys. But you players, early access players, will not have this issue. This is for the beta testers who are playing on their old maps, and you know, they updated everything. So I think that's everything. I think that mostly covers it. I know I like did a broad stroke stuff. Haven't really looked at much over the features and the monk, but I will be making an actual building tutorial and tips later down the line when I have time. So one thing I will leave you with is they added an additional attack for the gaming piece. So if I were to, let's say, she casts a magic spell, I can select the enemy piece and press magic missile. She will do that. Camera chase and everything. I love it. Let's do that again. We still have the old attack as well, which is a melee attack, which he punches a piece, even if it's at a distance. But yes, we are hoping that when they add more attacks or give us the option to like add certain attacks, certain characters as a GM. But for now, it's looking better and better. Now we have props which we place and the links. So that is all for today, my friends. I hope this video was informative on the changes that they made from beta into early access. This is still beta early access. It's like the in-between, the transition between said builds, in order to not lose all the boards that we made, because some of us, and I do mean some of us, went a little overboard making their boards huge. I mean, if you look at my streams that I'm posting on my second channel, DM for Hire Live, where you can see most of my sessions, I tend to go overboard. So if you'd like to see the game in action, so see the game like being played and used, you can check out my second channel. That is all for today. I hope this was informative, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.